Business Growth Podcast. So today I'm joined by the amazing Jocelyn from Musically Minded. Jocelyn, thank you so much for joining me. I know it's early for you today. I'm very grateful for you joining me. So tell us a little bit, if you don't mind, a bit about you first before we get into our topic.
Absolutely, Nick. Well, first off, thanks so much for having me. I am excited to be here. So I'm a music teacher and I also own a business. So for the last 20 years, I have been going into early childhood centers all around the Seattle area, providing music classes. But before that, for 4 years, I was an elementary music educator until I saw the light of early childhood. So over those last 20 years, I have grown a team that has helped me with this mission of bringing music into the classrooms. So I started by myself. I grew my business by going into all these different schools, and then I realized I could only go to so many schools. So I knew I needed to find people who could help me continue to bring the gift of music. And so I set out adding one teacher, adding 2 teachers, and then just keeping on adding teachers until I have 7 teachers now who go to, we probably reach 40 schools or more in and around Seattle. And we do weekly music classes. But the other thing that I do is virtual music classes because I love to work with kids. And I know that Seattle isn't the only place that needs music. So every week I do virtual music classes at musicallyminded.net. And that's a great chance for childcare centers who can't get a music teacher in their area to be able to have this experience with someone who is specialized in it and can keep kids engaged and learning and not put that pressure on the teacher who maybe doesn't feel comfortable singing, but knows the importance of music. And the last thing I do is I teach classroom teachers how to bring music into their classrooms to bring more joy to their day, as well as teach across the curriculum. And of course, that means helping them get over their singing voice and recognizing they don't have to sound like Beyonce. And I just love helping those classroom teachers really get excited about their teaching so they can't wait to go back into the classroom the next day.
I remember the first time we spoke, and I just love what you do. I think it's amazing because I think you're right. Having come from owning centers ourselves and seeing how people kind of shy away from the teachers shy away from that singing. I love what you do and how you've realized that not everyone wants to be in that line, but they don't want to do that. So how you support people. Tell us how far you cover with your virtual classes. How many centers interact with you guys across the US right now?
Yeah, so I try to keep it small because one of the things that when I found out, when I decided to go back into doing virtual and I interviewed some of the people who wanted to start up again after COVID, when I did a lot of them, they said one of the things that their students love is feeling like it was just me and their classroom. And so in order to give that feeling, I need to keep it small so I can say, hey, Heidi's house, how are you guys today? Or, Susie's friends, how's it going? Or, Mrs. Cochran or whatever. So I do keep it small. And so I also just do, there is one school that pays more and I am just with that school down in Tucson, Arizona. So yeah, so I purposely really want to keep it small. It's not something that I want to grow too big. So we do cap that number in order to make sure that quality is there, as well as that personal touch. That's really important. Even if you're virtual, it's important that those children know that they are special to you.
Love that. So today, what I'm excited about we're going to talk about today is because there's so many different things we could talk about with you. You've got so much expertise around this area, and I love how you motivate the team to actually bring that love and passion back into the classroom. But the topic of today's session is more around how to keep a team, but not only how to keep a team, how to keep a team that love what they do.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit, if you don't mind, what's the kind of problem, what's the challenge that we're dealing with right now?
We have burnt out teachers, and we have a situation in so many schools where teachers are feeling like they are just stretched too thin. They're feeling frustrated. They're feeling not respected. And the problem with that is then we, of course, get into a situation where our teachers are feeling that energy And guess what happens? That energy goes to the children. They can feel that. So when we're thinking about filling up our classrooms with all of these children who can't wait to be there, and we've talked about this great program, and now the kids enter the classroom and the teacher hates her job, we have a problem. So for instance, I had a teacher that joined me in September. And what's different for me is I send them out to different schools. And so I don't see them all the time.
Yeah.
I go in and I observe them once in a while, but I'm relying on the teachers in that classroom to tell me how my teacher is doing. And so I started to get reports of like, oh, it just doesn't seem like she wants to be there. Well, what I discovered was Sydney didn't realize why she was there. So I spent time talking with Sydney, letting her know that, I know you just went to 3 other schools and I know you just taught the same activities. And so you're kind of like, I'm done. But this classroom that you're going to go see right now, they have been waiting for you all week. So you need to bring just as much energy as you did to your first class as you do to your last class.
Love that.
And honestly, I was a little nervous because, when we hire teachers and we train them, when we put so much, energy into them, we don't want to have to go get another one and try to do it again. It's easier to keep the one that we have.
Yeah, totally.
So I doubled down on her. And what she realized is that she was getting bored with it and she didn't realize what she was there for and why. So it was really that purpose. So once we tapped into why she was there and she was able to recognize it, I never got another report of anything negative. I only got the kids love music. That's what I want. I don't care how they get there. When I hear those reports, I know that it's working and I can feel great about anybody that I send out into the classroom when they're getting responses like that. But the piece was she didn't know her purpose and she needed to be helped to be taken there to recognize it.
Oh, that's really interesting. Do you mind if I add something to this as well? Because one of the things I love, and we've spoken about this before, is the Disney Institute. I've gone through all their training. I love what they do. And one of the things I always struggled to kind of understand before is that how does a cleaner at Disney have the same passion and enthusiasm for what they do in comparison to maybe one of the entertainers, maybe one of the princesses, for example? And one of the things you just made that point perfectly is that they understand their purpose. And in the scenario of the cleaner coming, you come back at the end of the day from the parks, their purpose is that they still want to bring that joy and entertainment and that Disney magic. Yep. That when you walk into your room at the end of the day, the little Mickey Mouse that's on your bed was all done by that cleaner. They brought that, so they knew their purpose. So what you just said there, I totally resonate with. I think that's amazing. So we're gonna touch on 3 tips of how can we keep a team that love what they do. So I'm gonna pass over to you. I'm gonna listen attentively. I'll make my notes. So what's tip number 1 that you're gonna give us?
Okay, well, before I even give these tips, I do want to say a couple things. And that is that I am always looking on Facebook groups. I'm talking to people because I want to know what is working. I might think I know what's working. I might think as the supervisor of these teachers that I think I know what's working. But what was funny was I used to give a monetary gift at the end of every year. And I would put it in an envelope with a card saying, thank you so much. They never said anything. And I was like, did they get the money? And it's awkward because they don't really want to ask. Yeah. But then I'm like, I don't want this, this $100 bill or whatever I put into their envelope, being lost in a bag or something. So a couple times I'd ask and they'd say, yeah, I did get it. I was like, oh, okay, great. $500, where's my thank you? And so I was like, okay, well, that was not speaking their language. So then what I did was I started giving little gift baskets. I went on Etsy and there was this little gift basket. It had a candle. It had a succulent. I think it had some fuzzy socks. Guess what happened? Every single one of those teachers wrote to me and said, thank you so much. This is such a great gift. Who would have known?
Yeah, totally.
So what I did to prepare for this again was go out into Facebook groups and ask this question. what does your team do? What does your admin team do to help motivate you? What was sad was I saw a lot of nothing. I wish. And so I asked some of those people, does this make you feel like you want to stay on that team? And they said no. But then I also got rave reviews about things that people did, such as, they come into my classroom, they get to know my kids. They every Friday they have a special coffee truck that comes, and they help me know that they believe in me. When I have an idea, they listen to me. And so with all of these different ideas coming in, I put together 3 that I think will help administrators recognize what are things that really make a difference. We're going to start with number 1, the most important thing I saw. So no matter what, it doesn't take money. This one does not take money. So if you're in a school that's budget is tight, you don't have to worry about this one. Number 1, make them feel appreciated. That is so important. They need to know that you care about them. They need to know that without them, there's no school. If you don't have teachers in those classrooms, it doesn't matter how long your wait list is. You need them to make that school run. So let them know how much you appreciate them. Write little notes in the bathroom. I have seen, kind of a weird place to put it, but, people tack up notes that things that I caught you doing this, I caught you doing that. And it is so feel good. So what was interesting is thinking about the fact that, a 3-year-old loves to be told, I love how you helped put so-and-so's coat on. Well, guess what? So does a 33-year-old.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind. We as humans, we want to be recognized. We want to be seen. And so it is the simplest thing. Make them feel appreciated.
Love that. Love that.
So number 2, know what motivates your team. So I figured out what motivated my team, and turns out it wasn't Benjamin's. So what I figured out was they love little gifts. I've gotten them gift cards to Thai restaurants. They all seem to love Thai food. They love coffee. So we're on the road. So I give them a Starbucks gift card or something.
Okay.
Those little things just mean a lot to them. And that's the same thing I found out on these Facebook groups. One of the teachers said, it sounded like food really motivated people. And of course, when we think about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, that's one of the very basic things. We want to make sure that people are fed. And that's a great way again. So figuring out what is it though that your team likes. So I would encourage you to put together an intake form. So when you hire a new teacher, ask some questions. Of course, find out when the birthday is, because we all want to be recognized on our birthday, but find out, what's their favorite food? What are some of the things that they like to do on the weekends? Really get to know them. Think of yourself as, like a Nordstrom personal shopper, where you're really getting to know more about them. Just like we do in our classroom, we need to get to know that Jimmy goes to soccer on Fridays, so I can ask Jimmy on Monday how it went. Same goes for your team. Find out what they like and start bringing it in.
Love that.
Then the next thing, number 3, always be checking in. Always go back. How's it going? How are things going? I know you came and asked about how to work with Johnny, because Johnny was having a hard time when his mom left in the morning. How is it going? Whatever it needs, whatever it looks like on your end, if you need to make a note and make a reminder, go back. Because if you think about it, that also goes back to rule number 1, make them feel appreciated.
Yeah, totally.
So you always want to be checking in, and make sure you know what you're checking in on. You don't want to be someone in the office who's always staring at the computer. That one also came through a lot too, is my administrator comes into the classroom and she knows what's going on. He knows what's going on. He spends time in there. And one person said, I've never had an admin come into the classroom.
Oh,
so you want to make sure that there's not a line, but there is fluidity, so that everyone is a part of that team. They know the mission. They know they're a part of it, just like the cleaner at Disney. Do they know the mission of your school? Do they know it from the beginning? And are they living it, breathing it, and believing it? And if they are somebody who will stay on your team as long as they feel appreciated.
I love that. I love that. There's one thing I wanted to add. I just thought about it as well when we were going through. We do a concept with all of our clients. We've implemented this, and it's called end of day report, EOD.
Okay.
And one of the things that I found on that end of day report, we were delivering a training recently, and people are asking us, well, what's they fill in on the end of day? And a couple of things they fill in on that end of day report is what were their positives were for the day,
Yes.
what were their struggles, what things were smoke, so could be an issue, and what things were fire, so what things are already an issue. Do you know the one that always gets the most fill-ins is the positives in the day? And when I shared that with people was that, because think about this, in a childcare center, you're in with the children 8-10 hours a day potentially, and you don't get that opportunity sometimes to share with the directors or even the owners, look what I did today.
Yes.
Look at all these amazing things I did.
Yes.
The unfortunate thing, you could have given that child, they could have taken their first steps or their first words, written their first name or anything. But ultimately, you don't get the chance to showcase that to the owners or to, the director. So, and it was really interesting to see that the one thing that gets the most comments is always what positives happened today. What did you do well?
Yeah.
And I love that. And I think that ties into what you said. You not only is, make them feel appreciated. I think sometimes some centers go, well, to be honest, I've heard this several times. I struggle to find something to appreciate them for. Well, it's probably because you don't know about all the good things that they do on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
So I think it ties in perfectly to what you said there. Is like, make them feel appreciated, but actually give them an opportunity to showcase what things they've done so well throughout the day. Because people don't come to you, do they? They don't say, hey, look what I did well today. A 3-year-old might. A 3-year-old might come and tell you, I just did this. Look at my picture. Look what I did. But an adult's not going to come to you and tell you that. So I hope you didn't mind me adding that, because I thought it was really interesting in the training we found recently that everyone just kept writing lots of positives and not so many things on the other boxes. So
So here's what it's getting me to think of right now. I'm picturing a school, and I'm thinking about, how a lot of schools now have like a screen when you walk in and maybe information about what's going on. Wouldn't it be cool if a slide was updated every day with like 5 to 10 of those sort of positives?
Awesome.
So not only were the admins seeing it, other teachers were seeing it, but parents were seeing it.
Totally.
Because I think what happens, what I actually find interesting about that form was that they had more positives than negatives, was that they do have that. Because what we find in humans is we're always thinking of the negatives until we get that mind going towards the positives.
Totally.
And so I could see a shift and also an appreciation for the families coming in when they're seeing those spotlights of things happening. And just imagine if it was their child that took their first steps that day and they got to see it on the screen. So I think extolling those ideas of what's going well, what's happening that's awesome today, that could be something that you could push out to everyone.
I think it's so important, because the analogy I was used to use in our centers was the concept of, look, you all get excited as a team in the center working with the children. You all get excited about telling families about all the amazing things their child did today. You get excited about those things. But ultimately, if that parent walks in at the end of the day, the child's shoes gone missing, the child's got a runny nose, or a piece of clothing's gone missing, all the good that you did throughout the day is gone. It's all forgotten about, because all the parent focuses on, well, this is what I'm seeing. So if that child's got a runny nose right now, does that mean they've had a runny nose all day? Have you been looking after my child? Has their shoe gone missing? Has something else gone missing? And we kind of forget those points sometimes, that actually, if we highlight, if you've got those positives up there in the first place and actually put them out there, maybe that could actually have a big impact on how we end up feeling throughout the day too. So I love that.
And I remember there was a sign, I think, that somebody had up in their house that said, something like, ignore the dust, like love is growing here, or something like that. And that kind of idea, like ignore the other stuff that doesn't matter, because learning and play and love is happening here. And sending that message to get those parents to go, oh yeah, I should realize that. They had so much fun here today. So
Yeah,
sorry
exactly.
for focusing on that shoe.
Yeah, no, you're right. No, I love that. And unfortunately as well, parents take out, maybe they've had a bad day at work and they
Yep,
take that out on the team
exactly.
sometimes.
Yep,
So I love your idea around the board. I think, seeing that as soon as you walk in and your child's there, that's going to be a massive positive for
for
families.
sure.
So to recap really quick, so we talked about number one, make them feel appreciated, the notes, the pat on the back, going up to them, having that conversation. Number two, you talked about know what motivates a team. Like you said, money doesn't always motivate them. People are motivated by different things. Some are motivated by extra days off or,
Yep.
small gifts or gestures. And then you talked about always be checking in. And we touched briefly on as well, the end of day report that actually people writing down way more positives than negatives. We just don't give them enough opportunity to share all their positives as well. So I love that. Jocelyn, anything else you want to add? Any extra tips or ideas that you can think of? I could talk to you about this forever because I know you've done a lot of research around this and you've been studying this in great detail. Can I ask you, slightly off topic, what would be your number one tip right now? If you'll find that, and I know you're an expert at this, you do exceptionally well. If there's a team that maybe lacks motivation right now, what would be your number one tip to maybe get that love back into those rooms?
Yeah, I think one of the best things would just be to, and again, talking about something that doesn't cost money is maybe dropping little notes. It's letting them know first off that you appreciate them. And then I would say bring in the food. Pick, look at your calendar and pick like one day a month that you're going to do something special. Mix it up every month, bring it in, and just surprise them. Because if you don't do that and you keep focusing on more kids, get in there, work longer, your team is going to be turning over like crazy. And we cannot have that when it's time to take care of kids. We need consistency, and those relationships, they build over time, and we cannot have turnover. And this is just one of the most fantastic ways to retain those teachers for years to come.
Love that. Love that. I'm so grateful for you sharing that. I know you've got a lot of work going on right now. You're extremely busy with what you do. So tell us, what's the best way people can reach out and connect with you, if you don't mind? I know I've got a website here, but just tell everyone what's the best way they can reach out to you right now.
Yeah, you can go to musicallyminded.net. And that's a great way to just find out about how we do more virtual music classes at your schools. Or you can go to circletimesuccess.com if your teachers want to learn more ways to bring music into their circle times and all throughout the day. And then I'm also on Instagram at Circle Time Success Kids, where I just post silliness and fun and ideas.
Oh, I love that. And also as well, you've been doing some great sessions for us inside EC Mastery as well. There's some great content there. If you want your teachers to go over and access some of that content, make sure you tell them to go over and reach out to and access that. Jocelyn's done some great sessions in there too. And it's all broken down in bite-sized chunks. So you've got plenty of time to go back and review that based on the time you have available. So, Jocelyn, I am so grateful for you being with us today. I look forward to your next EC session with us as well. And if there's any other tips you can share with us over the next couple of months, any new strategies, please, we'd love to get you back on and connect again over the next few months and keep in contact. And I look forward. When's your next EC session? Is it booked in yet or not?
Right now, we're polling people on what they're interested in. So we've got 3 topics out there. It's why music and music should be in every early childhood classroom, or do they want to learn about bringing more activities into the infant and toddler classroom? And the third one is, I'm not sure. I can't remember what I said.
Put you on the spot then. That's my bad. I put you on the spot. Well, I'll make sure we share that down below as well. But guys, if you've got any thoughts or ideas or any of those particular sessions you'd love us to run as part of EC, let us know. If there's any follow-up questions, let us know in the comments as well. Make sure if you ask any questions, show some love as well for Jocelyn, because there's some great nuggets being shared on here. Jocelyn, I'm super grateful for you joining us, and I look forward to your next session once we got the results back from the poll as well.
All right. Well, thanks, Nick, for having me.
Awesome to be here. Thank you for your time again. See you soon, everyone. Thanks for watching, guys.